Welcome to another edition of Pittsburgh Sportsline at Olive Oil's Pizzeria and More, 930 Brookline Boulevard. Got a great show. This is going to be my last on-location show before my kidney transplant surgery. Yes, it's true. I look healthy, feel good, but my kidneys are only function at 15%. And for people that don't know, that's not good. So my son has volunteered to give me one of his kidneys, and he's a match. So on Friday the 13th, that is the Levine's lucky day, I'll get a new kidney and be back in business after a couple weeks of no driving and 3 to 6 days in the hospital. We'll see what happens with that. And we got a live show for September 30th back in Millvale, so check out our calendar for that. And then we'll be back here at Olive Oil's Pizzeria October 14th, 7:30 to 8:30 with more great guests. So stay tuned for more shows. I'm Al Levine, the talking machine. Smoking Jim Frazier sent me a text that he can't walk. The steroids aren't helping him. So I asked what's wrong. He didn't tell me. I hear crickets, which is normal from him. So we'll just say a prayer to Smoking Jim that he heals and gets a speedy recovery. Because I miss him. I got extra couple slices of pizza left. So you're welcome to more, Jake and John and Vince. You could grab a slice of pizza. We got 2 to fight over. But thank you for watching us on Comcast 7, only in Bethel Park. Thanks for watching us on Verizon 32 in the greater Pittsburgh area in Bethel Park, all the way from Nemacolin to Cranberry, Wexford, and all points in between. And no, this is not a podcast. I've been getting recruited to do one. I'm interested and I'm listening, but it's still a TV show, and you can see us every Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, sometimes a couple other days during the week. A friend of mine called me up last week and said, "Hey Al, I watched your show." I go, "Johnny, thanks." He goes, No, it was 3 in the morning. I go, "I didn't know we were on at 3 in the morning, but thanks for watching the show." He described the show, and I said, "Glad you enjoyed it again," because he had told me he watched the show before. So it was the same show. They repeat these shows. We have some fun, and we just go forward with all this. Another guest just walked in just on time. We're good to go. And I've got to thank you for all the likes on Facebook. 6,878 likes. This old dog learned a few new tricks. By the way, if you have a smartphone, you can like Pittsburgh Sportsline. It sounds just like it is Pittsburgh and Sportsline. Like it, and you can be one of those new likes on my Pittsburgh Sportsline Facebook page. This show will be rebroadcast Wednesday night on YouTube, and it'll be on TV at 7 o'clock to 8, and you can watch the show then. But we're ready to do the show right now. We're going to start with What's on Your Mind. It's sponsored by Skeets Lewandowski of Skeets Service Station, and I got nobody to ask that question to but myself. So, talking machine, what's on your mind? Well, being a black and gold Pittsburgh fan, love all the sports. I did something dumb last night. I watched the Steeler game for 3 quarters. And I'm not happy about that, but I did go to bed about a half hour or so right around my sleep time, so I got a good night's rest. Very frustrating game. I never saw us get beat coaching-wise so much, from player-wise, from A to Z. Big Ben said he got to improve. Moncrief got to learn how to catch a ball. He dropped so many passes, I couldn't believe it. Got hit in the hands, which is a terrible disease to have when you get hit in the hands and you can't catch. Then I'm looking at another guy, Switzer, who's one of the smallest guys on the field, become Big Ben's favorite receiver, catching balls all over the place for 1 yard, 2 yards, I think 3 yards even. But it was very frustrating. The defense couldn't stop the pinpoint accuracy of Brady, who looks like he hasn't lost a thing. He looks as thin as ever, but his arm is so strong. It's unbelievable how he hit these guys with the ball. Just a great performance there by Brady and Belichick and all their players. We got outplayed from the start of the game. It was so sad. We were just talking about it before the show started, to see the team go down to about the 1 foot yard line and kick a field goal because they weren't confident that they could score a touchdown. And they needed some points on the board. And I think that made it 20-3. So we ended up losing 33-3. I'm still in agony over that game. I predicted 11-5 for the Steelers. I'm not changing my mind. I believe they can pull this together, and they do have some talented young players, although they didn't show me much last night. Matter of fact, nothing at all. And that's what's on my mind. We'll be right back in a minute with some guests.
Jay Clancher, born and raised in Upper St. Clair, and here just happy to represent Pittsburgh and Pittsburgh Sportsline.
Well, this is your returning appearance. He was on here once before, and he was also on a couple shows in our studio, and he has a wealth of sports information. He's a hockey guy by nature and by training.
True.
And we can talk a little bit about that, but we got Pittsburgh Sports open right in front of you. What do you think?
Well, what I think is, Al, as always, we got to hit all three fields here. You know, let's just start off with my rookie.
Go.
My rookie appearance in terms of sporting expertise. That would be the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Okay.
Very disappointing season.
If they lose tonight, they'll have a losing record. They have 81 losses. So this would be the 82nd loss of the year, confirming a losing season.
Correct. And just what a disappointing season it would be. I mean, we thought that the pitching would be so strong this year.
Yes, it was a huge if.
Coming in, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And it
a lot of ifs, and they got terrible.
Yeah, and I actually heard a great conversation yesterday with Kent Tekulve.
Yeah.
Of all people, who's a friend of mine, and he said that you can't get by with under average defensive play.
Wow.
And the Pirates are, as it stands right now, or as into yesterday's game, 25th in the highest defense, in the defensive category. Well, that one of the highest defensive categories, and then
and what's
dead
that out
last,
of 30 teams? Or?
Yeah, these are ratios.
Yeah.
These are baseball ratios that I don't really look into.
Okay.
But out of the top three defensive ratios, the Pirates are 30th, and 25th.
That's consistent.
That's pretty consistent, correct. So, where does that leave us? Okay, that leaves us with the last place ball club that would have been, if you would have told me before the season started that they would have finished above the Cincinnati Reds, I would have said you're crazy.
Yeah.
Or finished below. Excuse me. And then we go to the Pittsburgh Steelers game last night.
Oh.
How much worse can it get?
That was terrible from the start.
Yeah,
Coaching
Lance Burkhead is now the next Barry Sanders.
That's impossible.
Yeah, well,
but he looked like it.
He looked like it last night. Where's the first-round draft pick? I didn't see it last night.
He had a couple tackles, but they were 10 yards downfield.
The whole
15
team,
yards downfield.
Completely terrible. Bush did not look like a first-round draft pick last night, if I do say so. The cornerback play, which has been a plague of this team for years, continues to be.
It's suspect like it has been for years.
It's been suspect like it has been for years. And, now so now we got two strikes on us as Pittsburgh fans. Then we go to the third
Whoa.
strike.
Uh-oh.
Okay, the Penguins. Okay, let's talk about a couple of things this season. You know, Phil Kessel has been traded. This is a player who has taken a lot of heat in this city.
Right.
Okay, because, you know, Hot Dog Phil and everything else.
Not in the greatest shape.
Not in the greatest shape, but I'll tell you what, a darn good player.
Hold it. Wait a second. I noticed his stats. He averaged a point a game.
That's what I'm saying.
Wouldn't you kill
but,
for that?
But Pittsburgh sports fans don't think about that sort of stuff.
I do.
Okay, and I do too. But this is not, I mean, and they trade him because he's Hot Dog Phil,
Right.
right?
He wore out his
someone
welcome.
actually said about him, and I quote from the Penguins, okay, that he's not a Hot Dog Phil, he's a hot Phil cat. Okay, which to me says that there's complete disrespect from him in that locker room.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yeah, that makes sense. It does.
And I get it.
And there had to be some things going on because he had a streak of about 26 games where he didn't score a point.
Correct.
And yet,
He
he
finishes-
averaged a point a game.
Right. So people are so quick around here to point the finger.
Just
And-
like Malkin.
And I would say just like the Steelers with last night, the Steelers do not have a bad football team. The
No.
Steelers will rebound.
They will. I'm on that bandwagon.
But, after watching last night, it is disheartening. And every time you watch a Steeler football game that,
Ooh.
concludes in a loss.
Yeah, especially
People,
like that.
Yeah, people are gonna.
Now, if it would have been a close loss, I would have actually been happy today. If we'd have lost by 3 points, I would have been ecstatic.
Well, if the
Because I didn't
Steelers lose-
expect to win against the Super Bowl champs. They are the Super Bowl champs.
Well, regardless, this is still Pittsburgh is a huge football town,
Mm.
and if you lose on Sunday or Monday night, and it
The whole
comes back-
town's depressed.
exactly You
Like
got
this
it,
was
buddy.
a Black Monday here.
Right, exactly. This is not
People
good.
weren't getting out of bed.
So, with that being said, I'd like to kind of just conclude with my segment, but just by
No,
saying,
you still got a few more minutes.
yeah, but just by saying, as Talking Machine talked about, couple things. Number one, as he mentioned, I am a hockey scout.
We got to at least
And-
talk some hockey.
Well, we talked. Well, what do you think about the Penguins this year, Talking Machine?
I'm optimistic.
Are you?
They still have a core group of players who underachieved on one thing. Like in the playoffs, you have to score more goals. When you have a lack of goal
And-
production,
And so you
you
do
cannot
that,
win.
Talking Machine, by doing that, you trade away one of your top goal scorers over the past few years?
Well, that's what we're going to overcome. It's going to inspire the other guys who can score goals, because Malkin can score, even though he was minus 27. He can score goals. He's going to have a better year. Crosby's still at the top of his game, which is hard to believe after being in the league so long. He can score goals. He has that capability. So right there with a couple guys, Letang, guess what? He also gets the puck on net.
Well,
So that's why I'm hopeful.
Talking Machine, I love your optimistics, but to me, I'm sorry, but when it's broke, you got to fix it, and when it's not broke, you don't fix it.
Yeah.
And you do bring
You're
me on
old
here.
school, even though you're a young puppy here.
Well,
I like it.
I do have to say that I'm a little disappointed in the lack of roster moves with the Penguins. They did move Kessel
Yeah.
for Galchenyuk, which maybe you're moving a person, one person who's good at one thing for someone who's good at another. Phil Kessel's really good at scoring goals.
Yeah.
Why would you move a player that's really good at scoring goals when you're looking to score more goals?
Well, I think there was a problem with dissension on the team with the lack of respect that they had for Phil. So I think that was carrying through the locker room, and they had to, do something like that to change that in the locker room. I mean, that's what I'm thinking. It's a problem like that.
Arguable. And back in 1991-92, the Penguins traded, perennial All-Star Mark Recchi,
Yeah.
to Philadelphia with Phil Coffey for Rick Tocchet and, in that group, Ken Reggett and Grant. It wasn't Grant Jennings, but Shel Samuelson.
Yeah.
So sometimes, yes, you are right, but to me, that the move was a little bit confusing, especially considering that Kessel had been one of the best players on the Penguins in the Stanley Cup runs.
Yes.
So,
Yes. No, the history of Kessel, I was a fan of his. I hated to see him go, and I couldn't believe the bad talk about him, because I didn't care if he didn't look like he was in shape or he was worn out on the bench. He could put that puck in the net.
absolutely. And my point is I guess to my argument is that, the best teams typically have the best players. That's how it works, not only in baseball, football, but also
Right.
in
Well,
hockey.
that's why, hence, the Penguins signed the core group that they did, and put a lot of that money into him, and sort of like an albatross it now, because they got to try to keep that above water.
But I mean, you don't trade away someone who's one of the top 5 players in passing, shooting, and scoring,
Right.
and skating in the league. Yes, is he?
Because who's going to take that place?
Exactly. Who a singular player.
Yeah.
Much the same way that as sad as we are to see him go, and to compare it to other Pittsburgh sports, Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
You just don't let players like that, slip through your fingertips through, random, stupid arguments.
Well, when they went out of here in this day and age with social media, you got extremes that come about. So they
Sure,
went
but
out. They
it-
made a business decision.
But Talking Machine, wouldn't you also agree too that it's the general manager's job to keep those types of world-class talents?
Well, actually, the coach. I'll go a step further with the coach. He has to massage those egos and deal with that.
Exactly, and that's and so I think we're on the same
Maybe
page.
Tomlin did a better job than we realize with Brown.
Maybe,
He might have, because I was brought up, when you have kids, you never tell one of your favorites that you're my favorite. In a family, if you tell that kid they're the favorite, you've ruined every potential issue you have with discipline.
You make a great point, Talking Machine, and discipline, not only as in sport, but as an adult, is a huge aspect of being a true person. So
Sure.
I think that's 100% correct.
Oh, thank you.
Just the last thing I'd like to say before I go, we all have a heavy heart for the big Talking Machine here.
Ah.
We love him, and I wanted to show. I changed my mind, Al. I do want to show the jersey. If you want to take the mic for a second.
I'll hold it.
This is an old Pittsburgh Hornet uniform,
Guess who gave it to me?
and this is a game-worn Jake Clancher. It's a gift. It comes with love, and we all here love Al, and we're all pulling for him. And with that being said, there's the jersey.
Thank you.
And for you young hockey players out there, there are 3 things that scouts are looking for. Number 1, skating ability. Okay, what does that mean? Strength, power, and speed. Number 2 is compete level. That's your ability on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest of how you compete. Number 3 is what's between the ears. If you have those 3 things, you can make it as a hockey player. So with that being said,
Hold it. How do they get a hold of you? With something like that, I'm fired up.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll just throw my cell phone out there. Anytime anybody who's looking for something like that is looking for any sort of advice, because I can sympathize with it, because I was once a player who didn't have it. You can reach me at 412-520-5555.
Hold it. I'm old. Repeat that number again.
412-520-5555. Alan, I appreciate everything. And
You're my man. Thank you.
You are my man, and I love you, and have love in your heart, and I have love in my heart for you.
Thank you.
And I hope you guys enjoy the show.
I appreciate it.
So,
Thank you, Jake.
you got it, buddy.
I appreciate it. Tell them your name and what you actually do so I don't misconstrue that.
Yep.
My name's Andy Anderson. I promote stout fights, MMA, Muay Thai kickboxing, and jiu-jitsu, and I also help keep Stout PGH up and running. We have 2 locations.
Tell them where.
One in the Strip District and one in Cranberry Township. And yeah, we have Dan asked to get me on the card on the show tonight to talk about our upcoming events. So I was.
That's
really-
why you're here.
yeah,
That's a
I was-
key point.
I was really, really hoping to be able to announce some really big fights tonight. There's a couple things that we still got to finish. I got to dot some I's, cross some T's with some
Well,
paperwork.
it's a
at the
tough
state.
process being
Yeah.
a matchmaker.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that. I know the boxing
my gosh,
matchmakers.
yeah.
I know the MMA
Yep.
guys. You got
Yep.
cancellations. This guy's afraid of that guy.
Yep.
This girl's afraid of that girl.
I don't think it's so much that people are afraid.
Let me
It's-
tell you, they are.
It isn't. It isn't.
They don't
It's-
want to lose.
They don't want to lose. They're not afraid of any individual. They're afraid of losing.
Right,
Which
but-
because especially more so in boxing now because
Yeah.
you have to have an undefeated record
Right.
professionally to make
Yeah.
that really
The
big
UFC,
money.
you could have losses all over the place.
You can, you can't.
Look at Kama Worthy.
I know. Kama was incredible a couple
How
weeks ago.
incredible
that
is
was
that?
an awesome debut of his.
I'm friends with him. He's been on the show.
Yeah. Kama had an awesome debut a couple weeks ago. It was short. It was really short notice. Hello.
I'm sorry, you were doing the thing.
Oh no, you're good. You're
He's
good.
on TV,
Yeah,
but that's all right.
Yeah, so
Welcome aboard.
I was really hoping to have some really big fights to announce, but they're going to be great. They're
Tell
gonna be
us the
great.
dates.
It is so our MMA show is October 12th. It'll be in Princecape Arena down in Canonsburg in South Hills.
That's 10 minutes from my house.
Perfect. If you're feeling better, I'd love
Get
to
a
have-
media pass for
Yes,
me and
exactly.
Smoking Jim.
I got a media pass for you and Smoking Joe.
We'll be there.
I'll put your seats away from Dan Bogans.
I got 6 weeks that
Oh,
I
okay.
can't lift things.
Okay.
In 2 weeks I can't drive, but that's
Okay.
in the window where I'll be able to drive.
Perfect. All
So
right.
that's
yeah.
why I wanted to get you on
Perfect.
this month,
And
so we could promote it before my
Perfect. Thank you.
surgery.
Yeah, thank you very
Get the
much.
word out here on
Yep. Mm-hmm.
what's going on. And you're my man too. I
Thank
like you.
Also, we have a kickboxing card to announce in November.
What is that?
So our next our fourth kickboxing card now, it'll be November 9th. It's looking like it's going to be at Princecape Arena. I'm still finalizing all the details with the venue on that. But that's coming up in the works as well. And then we have our jiu-jitsu tournament at our gym in the Strip District on
Get on.
September 28th. So if anybody's watching this and they already train jiu-jitsu and they want to compete, it's $35 to compete.
How do they get a hold of you?
They can go right online. Go to stoutfights.com, stouttrainpit.com. Look us up on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at StoutPGH and at StoutFights. You can find me all on social media at Andy Anderson.
They'll take your
BJJ.
money and let you fight.
Yeah, we will.
That's how simple it is.
Well, for jiu-jitsu, yes.
That's why I said it.
Yeah, for MMA and
Did I
Muay-
catch on pretty good?
You did. But for MMA and Muay Thai, you can make money and fight. Even
Tell them how.
So amateurs can even make. So amateurs, you cannot get paid to fight as an amateur. What you can get paid is for selling tickets.
Sell tickets.
Sell tickets, you'll make money.
Hold
You
it.
can
Are
fight
you
for your
well
friends.
liked on social media?
I sure hope so.
That's what he wants for you.
Yeah.
If you got any friends, you got a couple hundred friends, get them all to come out.
Yep. Come watch some fights. It's gonna be
Buy
lot
a
of fun.
ticket. What's
Yep.
the prices from the tickets?
The tickets have 3 pricing tiers. Cage side seats are $70. Then we have second row table seats. They're just one table back, but they're $50. And then general admission, the seating's first come, first serve, so it might be standing room only if you get there late. Those tickets are $30. So
$30
Yeah, you
for
can-
a night of action.
I know. It's a great deal, right?
How could you go
Yeah.
wrong? That's
Yeah.
why I wanted you on.
Thank you.
we
Thank you
could
very
get that
much.
word out.
Thank you. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So.
And how are you doing?
Doing well. I don't compete a lot myself with all these shows.
Because I know
coming
you
up.
do once
Yeah,
in a while. That's
do.
why I
compete in
wondered,
jiu-jitsu as
because I
often as
know it's
can.
in your blood.
I know. I love competing. I compete in jiu-jitsu as often as I can.
When did you start?
I started jiu-jitsu 7 years ago in 2012. And I wrestled before that, though, too. You know. all about that.
Understand. Yeah,
you
we've
know
talked
that.
about
Yeah,
that.
yeah. And,
You're an athlete.
Yeah, I met Dan Bogan through MMA, through fighting MMA myself. That's
Right.
That's why I met him. He announced 4 of my fights, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I
That'll
fought
make
with
you a
that.
friend of the long-haired
Yeah.
dreadlock
Oh yeah.
announcer.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's
He's a good guy.
he's a good guy. He's a Pittsburgh combat sports mainstay. Like that's why we have him announce all of our cards because
And he's hilarious
he's
when
hilarious.
he's doing it.
He's hilarious. He entertains
Yeah.
the crowd. That's the biggest thing with.
And then when he
his
makes a
job, too.
mistake, he's even more funny.
I know. So that's the biggest thing with their job is they have to entertain the crowd in between the fights. 'Cause
And
you
he's
gotta
good
keep
at
'em-
that.
You got to keep them entertained, and that's so
And he
hard to
flirts
do.
with the ring card girls and all that other
Yeah, I mean,
stuff. So
that's a job perk.
Yeah, I understand. He has to get those pictures.
Yeah, he has
he's
to
like
get
Smoking Jim.
Exactly.
He gets pictures with the sweeties, right? We got to promote the sweeties
Yep,
in
exactly.
these guys.
Oh yeah.
But
Oh,
yeah, I didn't invite Dan because I wanted you to
Thank
be
you.
the star.
Thank you very much.
And you to explain what you're
Well,
doing because you got 3 events
I
you
know.
put out there
Oh,
for
yeah.
us.
Oh yeah. So I'm actually really I'm disappointed because I worked really hard today to hopefully try and tie everything together. So I could have had some fights to announce tonight too.
Yeah,
Because
but you can't.
those are the real stars. It's the fighters. Like I don't.
No, I'm with you
I
on
put it
that.
together. That's it. Like no one's paying to come see me walk around a cage.
They don't even know who you are.
Exactly, and they don't care, and they shouldn't care. If they care about who I am, then I'm doing my job wrong. You know.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's
Yeah.
true. Tell them the dates again. October
Uh,
12th.
So October 12th for MMA. We have September 28th. We have a jiu-jitsu tournament. It's $35. Anyone can enter it. Who's basically trained jiu-jitsu. It's for white, blue, and purple belts. If you do jiu-jitsu, you know what I'm
Thanks
talking
for
about.
explaining that because
Yeah.
they'll know. I
They'll
don't.
know. They'll know. If you do jiu-jitsu, you know what I'm talking about. $30 or $35 for that tournament. 2-match guarantee. So $17 a tournament. That's a great deal. And then we have our Muay Thai card that we're ready to announce for November 9th. So
No, that'll
fun
be
too.
something else.
That'll be fun too.
Yeah, I've heard you've done well with those
Yeah,
events.
yeah, they're fun.
And look, you're at Printscape now,
I
which is
know.
a nice bigger
It's
place.
a nice bigger venue. Yeah. The venues that we started out at, it was good for our first couple shows, but it would be way too small where we're
Well,
at now.
here's what I tell people: when you start out, that's going to be your worst, because you're going to get better.
Exactly.
And you're going to tweak it.
Exactly.
And you're going
So
to
that's
get
what I'm
more
try-
interest,
that's
which
what
you're
I'm-
getting.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do is make it better every time. Like I have never so people are telling me that like we ran a good show. I've never thought that myself.
Yeah.
Because I'm.
You know you got
I
improvements.
gotta make it better, and I think
Sure.
there's a lot of things I can improve on, but
Well, with that matchmaking, get that done.
yeah, that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing. So
That's the
what I'm-
key to it,
Yep.
from what I see.
Exactly.
No,
That
I
is.
can't wait to see your
Thank you
show.
very much.
October 12th.
Yep,
I'll,
October
I'll
12th.
bring there. I'll struggle. I'll
All
get
right,
there
but,
however
yeah,
I can.
We'll get you and Smoking Jim there. That'll be fun.
No,
So-
we'll definitely. We
Okay.
love that kind of stuff,
That'll
and
be fun.
that's why we're trying to promote you tonight.
you.
Get
Thank
the
you very
word
much.
out.
Yep.
This show will be seen on Wednesday
Yep.
night and 4 other times.
Okay. All right.
and it's
perfect.
available on YouTube. I'll
Yep.
give you the link
I'll
like I
share
did
on you-
before.
I'll share it all over everywhere too.
I'll
again.
say, here's
All
when
right.
Andy came on
Yep.
and started talking about all kind of stuff I
All
didn't
right.
understand.
Yeah.
I'll explain it like that.
Okay. Thank
All
you
right.
very much.
Definitely.
All right.
What else is happening? What's next year look like?
Next
Any
year.
predictions
yeah,
there?
Yeah, we got some.
I
stuff
know
in the
you're
works for
thinking
next-
ahead.
Oh, I
Come
know.
on.
Yeah, we got another big jiu-jitsu show coming up. Probably going to be at Ace Hotel in East Liberty again. That'll be early in the year. Then we have. Then I want to do our MMA show in the summer because I've already talked to a couple other local promoters. I want to make sure we're not stepping
Competing.
on each other's toes. Yeah.
No, because
Wanna
we
spread
had that
everything out.
with Pinnacle and
Yeah,
Gladiators
we want
of
to
the
spread
Cage.
everything out. We want to spread everything out, so everybody gets a good crowd, you know. So I'm going to be trying to do another show in the summer if I can, and then a kickboxing show again in the fall. The fall kickboxing shows
the fall.
seem to be working really well. And it's a little bit different crowd too. It's different than a boxing crowd and an MMA crowd.
Sure, sure.
It's just a little bit different.
No,
sport.
it makes sense. We've been to all those different events,
Oh, yeah.
so I understand the
Yeah.
difference there.
And then I'm also trying to compete as much as I can too in jiu-jitsu. So.
Are you?
Yeah.
We're at next.
Um.
What's up for your schedule next?
I'm trying to do a qualifier for a pretty big event.
What is it?
That Kasai show. They are supposed to have a qualifier towards the end of the year, so I'm gonna try and do that.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
And
so-
what weight are you at? Does it matter?
Like anywhere between 145, 155.
No, you look in good shape.
Yeah.
I know you're
So,
working hard. You're
I'm
getting
trying.
thrown around on those mats.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
getting thrown around too. So I don't want anybody thinking like I'm the top dog or anything like that. So,
No, but you
yeah.
can handle yourself.
I
I've
do
heard
okay.
that.
I do okay.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
I'm glad you made it
Thank
to the
you
show
very much.
on time without
Thank you.
Dan.
Oh, I know. I miss Dan though. Dan's my buddy. So
Well, he's all of our friends.
Oh,
He's
I
been
know.
on numerous times.
I know he's been on most of the times.
We have to watch him because some of his jokes aren't that good.
I know.
So-
I know. They can't be on
TV.
On TV. Yeah.
Yeah, that's-
This isn't an HBO show.
No, I told him it's family
It's
friendly.
family friendly. Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
That's why we're promoting you.
Yep.
And
Thank
good
you.
luck, Andy, and all you do.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
And we'll see you October 12th.
All right. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Vince Ordinato, local artist. Grew up in Brookline, born
30
in the Hill,
plus
born in the
years.
Hill District.
30 plus years.
Yeah. The mystery of Smoking Jim.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, I want everyone to know when Al said the steroids weren't working quite right, these were doctor medically prescribed steroids, so people tuning in for the first time.
Well, he was about a 150-pound running back, and he matured into about a 350-pound gentleman. So I don't want to get into his powerlifting or AKA steroids or whatever else, but this is the text I got today.
Yeah, it's.
So I don't question any of it because he's a man of mystery.
He is a man of mystery. He's a good guy.
He's a great guy, one of the best guys you'll ever meet in the media, and look at the smile that he has. And now that he looks like Stevie Wonder with the sunglasses all the time, you can't beat that. Just that look alone.
I was eager to hear what was on his mind about the game last night. By the
Oh.
way, your first guest, I got to compliment him for a guy that young to really be interested in the history of the sport that he played.
That's how I became friends
Yeah,
with him.
yeah.
I met him at a boxing match at the Rivers Casino, and he was friends with this Justin Steve, who's been on my show, who's a boxer. He's an MMA guy, he's a boxer, and he's just a nice guy. He even beat me at the Meadows Racing when we had a guest horse race. He won that race going away, so he's my hero. And he introduced me to Jake, and we just started talking, and I can talk, but I also listen. So I was listening to him, and I asked him a few questions and went a little deeper and a little deeper. And he goes, you know what, I'm enjoying this conversation.
Yeah, I hear you.
He goes, I like where you're coming from on this. And I go, hey, would you like to be a guest on my show? He goes, what is it? And I told him, and he was.
Well, I meet a lot of young people, obviously, and whatever they're really into in my field, art and whether they're talking sports or whatever they do, they're not always so interested in history, and he was knowledgeable about things.
Yeah.
And a funny thing, speaking of the Hornets jersey, when he
Yeah.
the colors,
I'm honored.
yeah, they really threw me, and it dawned on me. Any films, not that I've seen tons of films, but I have seen films of the Hornets. They're always in black and white.
Yeah.
I never knew their colors.
Yeah, well, a
were
lot of
different.
people were confused because the Penguins had blue jerseys back in the 70s.
Yeah, right.
And I remember going to the games, and then you forget about the blue jerseys when they revived them. I'm like, I remember seeing that all the time.
Yeah. There was a contest about the name. We're so used to the Penguins and all these Stanley
Sure.
Cups, but it is kind of a dumb bird, and you wonder why did they? But there was some contest, and one of the choices were. It had to do with ice. It was Barracuda or something. That's not ice. But
Yeah.
I can't remember what
That's the ocean.
the other two, even Hornets was pretty good. It was like I forget what the other two choices were, but they really were better than Penguin. But we're so used to it, we don't think of it as a negative thing. But Penguin is a big, clumsy bird.
Well,
so how
here,
did
I
they
got
end up,
some trivia for you. I'm at the Reginald's Coffee where I drink my green tea.
Yeah.
And the lady behind the counter, Becky, she goes, my dad was in charge of taking care of the penguin, and he was a biter. He used to bite people, and she showed me a picture of her dad with the mascot, the true penguin.
The first penguin.
Yeah, and it's hilarious. When she showed me that, I go,
he had
thank you.
4.5 fingers or three.
He was
yeah,
short.
three and
He
a
was
half.
short on each hand.
Yeah, right.
But no, it was so hilarious because she said that penguin would bite.
Did you say you drank green tea? I didn't know that.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to
Look
be
for
sure.
the loose leaf green tea weather report tomorrow morning.
Oh, that's right.
I'll
That's
give you an
nice.
update on it.
Yeah,
Give you a different location, straight out or off to the left.
Speaking of history in the game last night, 1989, a lot of people here remember this. The Steelers opened up losing to the Browns 51-0 here. The next week they lost to the Bengals. I think it was 42-10.
Those were two of the worst games that I ever
Remember
watched.
that? You couldn't believe what you were watching. Worse than last night.
And I'm an idiot as a Steeler fan because I stayed and watched the whole game, each one of those.
Oh, yeah. It was
And it
bizarre.
was terrible.
Yeah, and this was, the post-Bradshaw
I got to
era.
admit to that, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
you could be a Bills fan.
Good point there.
They had a lot of young people that time, and by the end of the season, they were 9-7, made the playoffs, won the first playoff game. The next one, they were playing out in Denver and lost by 3. I don't think it was the Gary Anderson missed field goal game, but they one more game and they're in the conference championship. And unbelievably, that was the only year Chuck Noll won Coach of the Year because no one could believe he even won a game with the team he had.
Yeah.
But it was an incredible year. And it is 0-1. We're not 0-12. And although it was ugly last night.
Oh, yeah.
You know, what do you think about this? Is a league-wide thing about these starters not playing much at all in the preseason. That bothers the heck out of me.
Here's my thing. Whoever thought of it doesn't know what the game of football's about. You have to be in football shape.
Right.
Your mind has to be in football with the repetitions of passing,
Timing.
completing the balls, timing, throwing this pass, that pass, getting the ball from the center, movements that you would make, game movements. When you don't do that, you're what they call rusty.
Well, even Belichick was known for playing them too much, they said, in the preseason.
Sure.
He has reined himself in, but still he's playing them more than others. I don't see what the big risk is about playing one series in the first game, two in the second, and then move through that way because the time.
Here's my theory. 2 or 3 series each game to get started with, and then forget about it. At least you got them accustomed to other top players playing.
And other teams.
Yeah,
other
because that's
opponents.
the key.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you need, put it like this, when I saw the speed of the defense, I watched 3/4 of a game, and they're playing subpar guys that aren't even going to make any NFL roster.
Right.
So when they're running across the field fast, that's great, but it's against subpar players.
You know, aside from the headshot, which is a great thing to try to remove headshots, and they've done a good job of that. The other things that they've done to change these rules of kickoff, I don't really notice that there's fewer injuries. Really, I got to admit I haven't seen stats on it and all that, but they do a lot of these things for injury issues and things like that. But I'm not necessarily convinced that that's changed, other than the probably head injuries because they have
put
done
it
a
like
good job
this,
of that.
with the CTE issues and problems, you're just getting hit repetitively.
Right, good
which
point. You
causes
don't have
that.
to be hit directly in the head.
That's the problem,
right.
and they don't know how
Right.
to make a helmet like the head of a woodpecker.
Right,
Because a woodpecker, I was told, doesn't get a concussion,
All right.
but yet they're able to do thousands of taps.
Yeah.
To me, I had said, well, why don't they invent a helmet like a woodpecker's head?
Yeah, no, dear friend of
So
mine.
maybe they're researching that.
Yeah, well,
You do have a prototype that goes like this. But you can't bend your neck.
That's all right.
the,
They'll work on that.
A friend of mine's dad played for Pitt when that leather helmet days, and it's funny, in those days they told me there weren't as many injuries, but because no one used their head as a weapon as they came.
That's the key.
Yeah, when they
statement
came
right
into
there.
plastic helmets and harder helmets to protect the head, they started using it as a
Once
weapon.
you had something that you could wedge into somebody,
Yeah.
you're going to use that.
You stopped using your shoulder and
Yeah.
certain things like that. So can we talk about Moore Park Day? Do I have time?
Yes.
Well, a couple weeks ago,
You've got a
let
few
people
minutes
know,
for the Moore Park. Go
Cindy
ahead.
Rack was there, also Cindy Fassetti, people that know from that era. But, I lived at Moore Park growing up. I was a 5-minute walk, and me and a couple guys, we think of hundreds of 2-on-2 basketball games. Me and Danny and Scott and Louie. And
Were you in skins or shirts?
we didn't need it. We were only 4 people on the but however, on the 5-on-5, you had to go. Sometime you had to go with that. But
That's
anyway,
where I got yins or skins.
Yins or skins. But there were hundreds of people down there, and it was really
In Greentree, I heard
fantastic.
about Moore Park all the time.
Yeah.
And there was a guy that played baseball with, it's called the Typo team at the Pittsburgh Press. His name was Hal Holland. I remember seeing him hit baseballs out of Moore Field like you couldn't believe. He was a great left-handed hitter that hit home runs like you could not believe.
Yeah, and the straightaway center field was longer than Three Rivers at that time by
He
10
was
feet. Now,
jacking them out of that ballpark.
and he was hitting them over the right field fence.
Yes.
Yeah, because the short one was the left field fence. But there,
That's why I mentioned this.
funny thing about the Moore Park, the box, city. In those days, the city had city parks had boxing, and Moore won,
Sure.
of course, 7 years in a row. I was on the team 1 year, but the funny thing, this is interesting. Boxing is supposed to be all violent and all, but there's rules and there's all this. I don't ever remember a single fight breaking out at a boxing match but every Brookline Royal semi-pro football game, there were fights. You know, in high school football, there were fights, and there were never fights at the boxing match.
Well, my thing is passions run to certain levels.
Yeah.
In the boxing, there's a respect because if you get hit by one of those guys, you know you don't want to get hit again.
Yeah.
And you're
yeah.
seeing them hit each other in the ring, and it's hurting.
Yeah, there were. It was fun. You know, there were hundreds and hundreds of people I hadn't seen in a long time. There were a lot of Dinos, Vinces. Well, my name's not unusual, but it's not common. But there were quite a few Tonys and Dinos, that's for sure. What else can I tell you? I do artwork for a living, vincetheartist.com. I do a lot of paintings based
How about
on
caricatures?
history.
Over 100,000 caricatures.
Yeah, I've drawn, actually, the owner of the
3
business
minutes
here's
or
up on
less.
the wall. Yeah. I do caricatures at parties and weddings and proms. iDrawFaces.com is
How do
another
they
one.
get a hold of you?
You can go through the internet or call me 412-321-3508.
You know
or
I'm old.
VinceTheArtist.com and iDrawFaces.com. And I want to end by telling Alan I love you, and I really, really, really wish you and your son the best.
Oh, thank you.
Your son's getting a little lost in the shuffle there. This is not
Not at all in my book.
not in your book. I know that. This is not like getting a
I'm honored
a
and
new
blessed
suit.
that he's donating a kidney.
Absolutely. This is a friend of mine had a transplant a few years ago. I've known other people. I know Alan's talked to a lot of people now at this point.
Yes.
He really does do a lot of good for a lot of people, and
Oh, thank you.
eager to do some charity stuff. And if you want to get involved with Alan, just give it a couple weeks for the recovery to work out, and call him, talk to him, and he'll do what he can to help you out.
Maybe
And
you
he's a
can
great
be
guy.
a last-second guest like Vince Ornato.
Yeah, I came here to watch and have a meatball sandwich, which I just ate. And
He
I did,
crushed that
I crushed
meatball
it.
sandwich.
Crushed it.
Smoking Jim would have been proud. Let me see your fingers. Okay, you got them all.
My grandfather used to stand there watching me eat as a kid and smiled, and my mother would say, "Slow down, slow down."
Thank you, Vince Ornato.
All right.
I appreciate it.
right.
Thanks.
Okay.
Tell them who you are.
Yeah, my name is John. Say a prayer. It's like say a prayer. My
Say a
mom used-
prayer?
Yeah,
Tell
my
'em
mom
what
used to say
you're-
prayers a lot. I had a twin. They almost put me back. We had semi-private wombs.
Oh, man. I don't know how you got out of it.
I don't know either. Hey, what happened to that pizza we ordered? The Roth's
It's on the
Special.
floor.
It was a 3-inch pizza with nothing on it.
Yeah.
About that big, like yesterday's game.
Moncrief dropped it.
Yeah, he did. That's right. Moncrief's working here. I think he's going to be his new full-time
Yes,
job.
he got it.
Yeah.
Tell him what
he
you're-
would be a delivery boy, but he
You're,
couldn't do
you're
that
too
either.
funny, but tell him what you're executive director of.
We 21. And there it is. We 21. We got hats. We got shirts. We got a store. We play RBI baseball. But what it is, our mission statement is to adopt Roberto Clemente Walker's personal attributes by witnessing and emulating the values practices that led him to the heights of self-actualization. And when you break that down, you get the program. But just think about it. His personal attributes were great. He was disciplined. He was a great man who just happened to play baseball. He climbed that ladder of self-actualization, and his last act was the greatest act of self-actualization. He gave his life for others. So what we do is we take Roberto Clemente's life and we're animating it with art, with quotes from books, testimony from ball players. We're online. We're in the classroom, on the field with baseball teams.
Where do you have your events at?
Well,
Or have you had them?
I'll go backwards to some things we just did recently.
Because I want people to know about this.
I was asked to present to the Pittsburgh Urban Classic with a program called The Base. It's in 5 cities, New York, Chicago, Indianapolis, Pittsburgh, Miami, and soon to be in Los Angeles. And I was asked to present our program to 150 youths. We gave we had a tournament down there in Washington, PA, at Washington Jefferson Stadium. And I started with the baseball program. We start with the 3 attributes of being a friend and teammate, which are reliability, loyalty, and generosity. When you think about the process of becoming a friend and teammate, when you're on a team,
Yeah.
right, you want somebody to show up, right? If you don't show up at practice, if you're like AB,
Yeah.
you don't show up, you're not reliable.
Exactly.
Well, what happens is when other people are reliable, you got a team that shows up. Everybody shows up. So what happens when you show up? You're together a lot. So once
Sure.
you're together a lot, you start to hang out together, and then somebody sticks up for somebody. You get close. You stand up. You're loyal. You don't let somebody talk bad about your teammate. And then it goes on for a while, and now you're a real good teammate.
Sure.
But what really happens when you become a friend is you go beyond being a teammate. Heart opens up. Maybe your buddy's dad dies, you go to his funeral. He needs a ride home, so you give
help
him a
out.
ride home. You show up.
It expands.
Expands. You become generous. Your heart opens up. What mine's yours and yours is mine.
Sure.
So we do that with our team, and we use an example. We use the relationship that Manny Sanguine and Roberto Clemente had. They were best friends. They were the greatest at their position, lifetime. When they had that big team about 10 years ago, they picked the Pirate all-time team. They had Manny Sanguine at
Catcher.
catcher and Roberto Clemente in right field. I did some research on SABR,
Yeah.
which is the Society of American Baseball Research. It showed that, according to those stats, Clemente was the sixth best all-time outfielder. That goes back to 1890s. And Sanguine was the 35th best catcher. That's saying a lot.
Yeah.
And they were on the same team at the same time. But what's amazing is they were not only great ball players all time and won 2 World Series, played in many
Right.
All-Star games, they were best friends.
Yeah.
In fact, when Roberto died, Manny couldn't go to the funeral. He walked the beaches and diving, went out in a rowboat looking for
Sure.
Roberto's body.
No, that's so sad.
Yeah, it is sad. So what happens in sports is that it's a beautiful game, and there are a lot of lessons in our We21 program, because what we do is the way we teach the principles of being reliable, loyal, and generous. We go back in Roberto's life, and we're animating, we're with art. Christine Braga, who's an artist that works in Cornerstone Rehab Center out in Murraysville, she did some artwork here. These are our core principles,
Nice.
and you see them in color.
Black and white. Yeah. Beautiful.
We're doing a lot, and we're having some events that we do. One of the things we do every year is we celebrate Roberto Clemente's birthday. Our program actually wasn't formal initially. We were incorporated as a nonprofit on December 31st, 2017, and there's a real coincidence to that because it's the anniversary of Roberto's passing. And I wanted to have that day because to
Sure. It
me,
means
milestones
something.
mean everything. So what I did, I had a lawyer, Steve Irwin at Lish Teichman. I said, I'm going to ask that we be incorporated on that date. And he goes, it'll never happen. It's a Sunday. So I says, when we send in the paperwork, can I write a letter and say, please?
Yeah. I want this date.
Yeah, I want this date. And to my amazement, I got an email from the State Department of Incorporation. They actually had somebody go in the office. And I have a picture when they stamped it, and he sent it to me.
With that date.
With the date. And we were
How cool was that?
incorporated on a Sunday because when they read our mission statement and looked at the letter, they said they would do it for us. So we
Well,
could,
it's a great meaning behind that.
yeah, because it's
Sure.
like passing it's a transition. Roberto passes on December 31st, and we're born.
Sure.
We 21, and we have a saying that when you do as Roberto would do, he never dies. Because,
No, that's a great thing. What got you to even do this?
well, when I was a kid, I guess it really started when I was 9 years old. I went to Forbes Field as a knot holder, and knot hole games were really a throwback. I'm an old man. This is 1961. A knot holder is somebody that goes to a game free. It started actually, the history of a knot hole was in a minor league team in New Orleans. A knot hole is the piece of wood. It's on the bat. And a knot-holer gets in free. And there used to be a tradition in Major League Baseball. If you were played in Little League or you went to a youth center, they had 5 or 6 dates a year. All you had to do was show up, and they gave you a bag lunch.
Wow.
Somebody would, and then
You're
your
living
chaperone would get a
large.
ticket. And
Yeah.
what was really cool, we would go to Wilmerding YMCA. I'd show up with my
Wilmerding?
Little League uniform. I wasn't that good. I was Italian. I tried to get on the Italian club. Well, but I didn't. My dad didn't.
Still Italian.
Yeah, but they put me on the Irish club because I stunk. You know. So here I am, a dark tan kid, and I'm in a green and white uniform with all these kids with freckles. You know. And I hardly ever got in.
You had a nice tan, though.
I got a nice tan. All I know is that I play ball so I can go to knot-hole games, and knot-hole games are really cool. In fact, a lot of people from Brookline went to knot-hole games. In fact, I downloaded the knot-hole. There's a Brookline baseball club. I downloaded a lot of pictures. There's a baseball club. They keep records of all the games played in Little League. It's amazing. It's online.
No, that's great.
And imagine this. You get kids from all over, all corners of Western Pennsylvania
Yeah.
City. And they would have these dates. They were all on a Saturday afternoon because back in the old days, you played day games Saturday afternoon.
Sure.
So imagine this. We're playing the Dodgers and the Pirates. And this is just one example. I had been to knot-hole games before. But you go on a bus, you leave Wilmerding, and you go down, you go to Turtle Creek, you pick up more kids. You go down through the Jones and Laughlin, underneath the Westinghouse Bridge. You go to Braddock, you pick up kids. You go to Rankin, you pick up kids.
Wow.
When the bus is full, you go down past.
Pick up a couple more.
Yeah, you pick up a couple more. You go all the back roads. You stop at the churches. So all of a sudden, you're in a rowdy bus, and everybody has bag lunches, and they're throwing bologna sandwiches at each other. Nobody's sitting down, and you can.
How
smell
was the
this-
bologna?
It was good. It would stick on your face. Yeah, it was great if you have a sunburn. You just put the bologna on
It helps.
I used to call it Italian jumbo. It had garlic in it. You know?
Oh, nice.
I told the priest once if I ate it on Friday, I didn't have a sink because it was Italian jumbo, and I'm a Roman Catholic, so you could eat that on Fridays. Hey, I'm getting out of here.
That's all right. I like your stories. You know,
Yeah.
I'm about stories. You're telling me some. That's great.
So what happened is you would go out. I remember going past the steel mills on Second
They
Avenue.
stunk.
Yeah,
I remember those
and
days.
we'd have to pull the windows up because the smoke would blow in.
We had to go past all the mills because my grandparents lived in McKeesport. We went from Green Tree on the Parkway all the way past all those Second Avenue, J&L or whatever mills were there, and it was just
It
unbelievable.
was unbelievable.
Me and my 3 sisters would go, "What's that smell?"
And you go up the hill, you go up 8th Street in Forbes Field, you get up, and it was a neighborhood. So you'd go around, and you'd see the crowds, and you'd go down past Shenley Avenue Circle, and they'd let us out behind the Longines clock. There were all these
Wow.
buses. So you'd have all these kids getting out, and somebody would always have a ball. We didn't
Start
have a
throwing.
crowd ball catch. And you'd walk all the way around, and there was this gate behind right field. And it opened up the great gate, and it was rusty and crickety, because I guess they didn't want us mingling with the folks
Regular
that paid.
folks, yeah.
They put the rough-uns underneath us. So we came up this dark, musty. The gate would open up, and I remember it smelled like piss.
There, let me tell you, they
and
tell me
mustard
how
and
great
beer and-
they tell me how great Forbes
Guys
Field
were
was.
peeing in there when you walked in.
I remember as a kid being sitting out in the stands and there's a beam in front of me. And then I remember the smells. It smelled like it was a urinal.
Yeah.
I thought we were right in a urinal, and my dad goes, "What do you think of the seats?" And I was a shy kid then. I just smiled.
You just smiled and say thanks. Thanks, Dad. Feed me good, I'll come
Yeah,
back.
a bag of peanuts, Dad, please.
But what happened is you came up this thing and it's dark and it's cold because the gate just opened
Sure.
up. And this is early in the day. You played a day game. So you're going there for watch batting practice. It's about 11
Sure,
o'clock.
sure.
All of a sudden you get up to the top of the steps and you see blue,
It had to
white,
look great.
the Longines clock. You saw the black and gold uniforms. You saw the Dodgers at one end of the field. And it was like when a movie comes on.
Wow.
You know, when the lights come on in a movie theater, you're transposed. It's surreal. It's like another reality. And all your senses perk up, and all your mates, your friends and teammates are with you. See, friends and teammates. And we 21 becomes born with my little league team because we run down to the railing and Roberto's there and he's warming up. And he would throw the ball back and forth and warm up and throw it off the wall, walk like a peacock, like he was like a feral cat, like that's a national cat of Puerto Rico. And he would usually at the end, this wasn't my first auto game, but at the end he, like most
Throw a ball up.
he'd throw a ball and somebody keep it. So this time he threw the ball and it came to us. And normally we'd come, you don't know where it went. I'm thinking, finally, we're going to get the baseball. So we're all reaching for the ball and you could see it. It's coming out of the sky. You could see the light standards. So we're all reaching and it comes right between it. And this little kid grabs it. I think his name was, I think it was Michael Sarnicola. I don't know. But he was really short. We looked at Mike and we said, give me that ball, Mike. You haven't caught anything all year. So Mike goes, you ain't getting this ball. And he runs to the railing. He runs to Roberto and he yells, play catch. And of course,
Throw it back.
So Roberto doesn't hear us, but we're all yelling, play catch. And I think he does hear us. And what happens is Roberto, he comes walking over with the ball and he's doing his thing. And he's, you can read his lips.
Yeah.
We're yelling, play catch. So he throws it back and Trumedy tries to take it. We say, no, play catch. We knock the ball. And we played catch, I bet you 9 throws. It seemed like forever
Wow.
when we were a kid.
What a memory.
Yeah. And then he loses track of time. The game's going to start. And the players come out of the dugout and the umpire, and they're standing at second base. And they're amazed at Roberto playing catch with kids. And in that moment, we saw Moment. That was his nickname.
Yeah.
Because when he was a youth, what he'd say, un momento, por favor, I don't come home. I'm playing baseball. And that was his nickname. And in a way, he was telling,
Same
he was
thing.
reliving his childhood. This is the essence of Roberto Clemente. He loved the game. He excelled at the game because he always played it. And he was being us again. And as I got older, I read all about him. I fell in love with him. And 2 months later, my dad died. So what I did is I keep from crying. I took his baseball card. I put it in my suit. And I remember I was at El Ferry's funeral home. That was Lombardo's funeral home in Wilmerding. Everything was Italian in Wilmerding,
Gotta be.
Yeah, and it stuck me with all these old Italian women with black dresses. The end of the world was coming. They were crying and wailing.
Yeah.
I'm looking at my dad. So to keep me from crying, I pull out
Card.
Roberto's card, and I remember him playing catch with me. I'm trying not
Wow,
to cry.
yeah.
I remember looking at my shiny shoes, and I swear I saw
His
the
face.
reenactment of us playing catch. So I went back the next day, and I just repeated. I think I bonded with him. They say that when you lose somebody you love, you bond to somebody else.
Sure.
So what happened is I felt a need to connect with Roberto. So like a couple months later, I lied. I said, Mom, I'm going down the playground. I took my bologna sandwich and bag, and stuff.
I'm glad that bologna's with you.
It's still stuck with me from Cajetta's Market.
Nice.
John Cajetta wrote for the Pittsburgh Press. He was a sports writer.
Nice.
So what happened is that I went there by myself, and Roberto noticed me, and he came to me and he said, "You by yourself?" Yeah. He said, "You see this guy? He said, you should not come by yourself, but if you come, again, you tell him you're here." And I looked around; there were other kids by themselves too, and I realized that they were seeking the same thing.
Yeah.
Connecting with Roberto Clemente.
Wow.
Because
And he knew
did
that.
in warm-ups, he would always come over to the kids and sign autographs and talk to us. It was amazing. And so I really believe that We 21 was born, and that's what the logo means. The logo represents the time we play catch with Roberto. We're catching Roberto's light,
Yeah.
and then it's being reflected back in the Caribbean Sea.
Oh,
This is
nice.
the Caribbean Sea.
No, thanks for circling around. We're going to have to end the show here.
Okay.
Great story.
Yeah, great stories. How do they get a hold of you again? Because I'm old, you got to repeat yourself.
You go to my website at www.we21.org and look for us. We also have a YouTube channel. It's We21 spelled out for YouTube. But we're having some events coming up. We're going to have an event at Peppers and Ed on November 16th from 2 to 4. Jessica Lee said she's going to appear. We're doing an event next year on
Bob's a
Roberto
friend of
Clemente's birthday.
mine. Bob's a friend of mine.
Who's that?
Bob, who owns it.
Oh, Bob Portigello. Yeah,
Yeah,
Bob played
he's a
baseball
great
for
guy.
Rankin. We're renovating the Rankin Field. All the money goes to help the renovations of Rankin Field. They haven't played ball there for many years.
Sure.
So we're putting the proceeds. And next year we're planning a really big event at Cary Furnace. Be a 2-day event. And it'll
That
be
Cary Furnace is
yeah. We're
something
gonna light
else.
up the furnace with a laser inside. And we're having rat rods and we're bringing artists. It's gonna a big part of Week 21 is we have called Love Gumbo for Roberto. It's artists and photographers and art and sentiments and recordings.
Tell them that day again, because we're going to have to end
Okay,
this.
November 21st at Portugallo at Peppers and that, and next year August 15th and 16th at Cary Furnace. We're gonna have fundraisers.
Thank you, John.
All right.
Appreciate it. Just stay here. I got to end the show. We honor a kid that didn't make it to his 10th birthday because of brain cancer, DIPG. Stay Joey strong.